20%. No droids, bounty hunters, no Ray Lows, no Ray Nobodies. You know the rules. If you are a sequel trilogy fan, a High Republic fan, or just a dweeb, you're not allowed. Anyway, want to talk a little bit more about the ever-changing story on the Alec Baldwin situation on the set of Rust, where cinematographer Helena Hutchins was accidentally shot, and the director was shot through the shoulder by a gun that was supposedly inspected and ready to go, deemed safe in the hands of the star and the main producer of the show, the illustrious Alec Baldwin. Now, first off, I'm going to tell you guys, I'm an experienced shooter. I want to show you some. Here's something you will see on every gun we own. You stick them in the barrel, you stick them in the magazine, the extractor. All right, second of all, this is a 938. Notice I pointed it up and did not point it at anything else. It's a 6 Sauer. It shoots 9mm parabellum. It's a 1911. That's a hammer. All right. And actually, the trigger is a lot easier to shoot with a hammer down. But this is one of my carries. This is what they call a magazine. It is not a clip, it is not a magazine. If I hear you calling this a clip, I will hit you with it. Okay, this is a magazine. These are self-defense rounds. That's full metal, see? Anyway, I want to talk a little bit about it. Here's the deal. A few days before all this occurred, okay, 6 people on the set walked out, okay, because of gun issues and the fact that there were other misfirings. Now, I've heard from a friend of mine who's a movie director, and actually he owns his own studio now, and they're out actually filming a movie right now, I think, that the person who was the armorer on the set of Rust, 24-year-old girl. What they did, instead of bringing professionals from LA, is they hired the locals. Now, I'm going to say this. Hiring locals is, I'm not going to bitch about that, okay? But they didn't hire veterans. A 24-year-old girl might not be the person you want inspecting every piece, what you call a gun, that you have on the set every day, every time the actors even look at them, okay? You need someone who's seasoned. I would say, if I had my way, it would be a former police officer or a former military man, all right? All right, or someone who, is a certified NRA licensed teacher of guns, who knows what he's doing, okay? And can give you the right advice and tell you what you should be doing every time you touch it. And especially if you're inexperienced. Now, Cameron talked about being on sets and put this in here. Oh, please let go. There. Being on the sets of different shows he's done, and seeing people who've never been around firearms getting really completely. Now, here's the difference. You get a young kid, 20, 22 years old, who grew up in New York City, went to Juilliard, never, ever fired a, one of the guns that fire even rubber bands. Remember those? Remember having your brother hit you with them? That was a lot of fun, right? That was a lot of fun. Not ever. I can see somebody like that getting enthusiastic. I can't see somebody like Alec Baldwin, he was in the Hunt for Red October. He was carrying a 1911 in that, I think it was. So he knew better. He had people tell him over and over again. Every time the prop master or the armorer hands you your prop piece, and I'm going to tell you guys something. They're not fake guns on the props. Okay, on the sets. They're real. Okay. Yesterday when I put that picture of Harrison Ford up with that gun actually was demilled. Okay. That thing was demilled. And the reason why is because they did all kinds of stuff to it to make it look like you would imagine a blaster would look like. Okay. But these, probably, an 1872 Army Colt, or, I'm trying to figure out, or a Ned Buntline, whatever, single shot pistol. And God knows, because the calibers back in the Old West were like, you can't find ammunition for that. Okay. When I say 44 long Colt, hey Jonathan, that's what the guys in the cowboy shoots usually shoot. And 44 long Colt is actually a really nice round. Okay, if they ever came up with a semi-automatic concealed carry pistol, that I would get that. Howdy, Matt Piranha. I would get that gun. And the reason why is because I like to shoot it. And there's a place in Virginia, and the company, I never remember their names, but they make beautiful. Greetings, Mickey. Oh, great. Awesome. Thank you for showing up. But they make beautiful replicas of Old West revolvers. And there are a couple that I really, really like. But you can get them in 44 long Colt, you can get them in 38. You can get them in, fairly, substantial rounds that really do have recoil. 38 special, it's not bad. 44 long Colt, hey Dominique, is actually a really nice round to shoot, I'd say. Anyway, but we don't know what that caliber was. Now, there's a story out there, and actually I heard the 911 call. All right, it was on Newsmax.com. Girl calls and says, talks about there's been a shooting. We heard the gun go off. We went out. They're all bent over. The camera woman and the director, blah, blah, blah. Okay, what was going on? Okay, why? First off, why did he pull the trigger? And why did he think it was safe to do that? Okay, these are the questions that need to ask. We also know now that there was a walkout of people, probably all guys, on the set because of the unsafe conditions going on with the firearms and the long commutes. And, typical, when you look at what the people that are wanting to strike for IATSE want, it's basically, they basically left because of the stuff that crews all over, the U.S. have go through when they're doing shoots. Okay, they don't have any time to go home. They don't have any time to sleep. Their weekends are going from one thing to another. They don't, and they're not getting paid enough. All right, it's wrong. It is so wrong. Anyway, yeah, it is wow, isn't it? So they walked out, and again, also, I just showed you, my 938. I can't describe how dumb. If someone, here's the deal, when you walk into a gun store, let's say like It probably was. I mean, they record everything behind the scenes. And it also makes good investigative stuff for the cops, okay? Because I'm leading up to something else here. You walk into a gun store, and let's say, like, my unicorn is sitting there in the case. The vaunted Colt Defender in 45 caliber. Dun, 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 dun. Light shines on it from above, and it's, a $900. Okay. It is a 1911. My 938 is a 1911. The 1911 is an action that was created before World War I, and it is still a very, very great gun. Now they have striker fire, they have double action. I am a 1911. I love them. I love them. We've got a couple, and the triggers are amazing. They're incredibly accurate, and they're incredibly durable. They're just a pain in the ass to clean. Okay, it is like trying to take apart a puzzle box. But let's say like you see it. Say, I want to look at that gun. I want to look at it. Guy takes it out of the case. He opens it up. He pops the mag out. He opens it up. Makes sure that it's empty. Hands it to me like this. I, slam it shut. I pick it up. I point it, whatever. I want to get a feel of the trigger, so I, like that, up in the air, at the ceiling. I know it's empty because I looked at it too. Okay, that's how you do it. Okay, set it back down. Maybe, your husband wants to look at it. Then you decide if you want to buy it. Okay, that's how that's done. But everything, and when you give it back to the guy, it is open so he can see it. Okay, usually I have to have my husband do it because the one thing I can't do, I can pull them open to look, but I can't keep them open. For some reason, I can pull it all the way back, but they never stay open for me. So usually my husband has to do that. But if it's a revolver, you just press the lever and you hand it back. That's pretty easy peasy. I don't even know. All I know is that it was an IATSE local 480 or 448 or 440. And from what Lee said, if they'd have brought a professional with them from LA, a lot of this stuff would not have happened with the guns. Okay, you need, again, I would say an old pro. All right, there should be a pro, and I said ex-police officer, ex-military guy, somebody who's been like Hickok 45, who's been a professional shooter their whole lives. Okay. And it's always the same. You're right. It is always the same steps. It's habit. It's like if I take my horse out, groom her, pick her feet, make her look pretty, and I saddle her up, put her bridle on, take her out, we have a habit. Everything is done the same. Then I take her out and I lunge her. You take the lunge line like this, it goes like that, it goes over her head, and I lunge her one way on the long line, and then I reverse it and do it the other way. 20 minutes. That gets her into the idea that, Mom, we're working today. We're going to work for about half hour. 2, it gets all the weirdness out of her. Okay, if we had a round pen, I wouldn't even have her saddled. Okay, I would just put her out there, with the lunge whip and just make her do stuff for a good half hour. The reason why is because horses are creatures of habit. You have to do everything the same. Gun ownership is the same way. Okay, if you get into the habit of being safe, you'll always be safe. Alec Baldwin obviously is not. Now here's the thing. Okay. John Nolte, who's not one of my favorite people at Breitbart, I've known him, God, for over 15 years now, and I've known of him. I know him. He was at Libertas for a while, and then Andrew pulled him away to do big Hollywood. Nolte has directed movies in the motion picture industry, but you know, I'm gonna say this: somebody who's conservative has to figure out a way to go to work in the media. I mean, I have friends, Lee Scott, Peter Eaton, who make movies, and they're not lefty weirdos. Okay, they have survived. They have survived by making their own place. Mel Gibson, you know, he got into trouble. Well, now he's making a lot of independent movies. They can't stop that. And he's making these people who do these movies big, okay? Because he's Mel Gibson. Yeah, you're right, Matt Piranha. I mean, you can't skip checklists. If you're in the habit of doing it right the first time, that checklist, that mental checklist, it's like remembering your phone number from when you were a kid. You know, in your 50s, you can still recite your home phone number. Okay, that's the mental checklist you have to go through. John Nolte wrote an article, and he basically quoted a lawyer, and I think the lawyer was on Fox News, basically saying Alec Baldwin is going to have to start thinking as a defendant. Okay, as they progress in their investigation, and there's a reason for, and if anybody from my Facebook page who's a diehard conservative firebrand is watching this, you gotta listen. They're, you know, here's a problem not only in the fandom, but on the right in general. You expect bad people to be frog marched to a waiting van. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Okay? It's just not. All right? And it's not gonna happen with Alec Baldwin. Okay, he, and here's the deal. He was the producer. He was making this movie. This is his movie. This is like if something happened on the set of, Congo, and Frank Marshall is the main producer. And he could end up being liable. Okay. Now, hey, Misha. So, he is the producer. We did have walkouts because of the unsafe conditions with the guns already. There were misfires already. And is it the armorer's fault? Yeah. But he should have been, when you've got a guy who's been doing this, he's not vicariously responsible. He is responsible. I'm going to give you that example. Let's say, and this is based on a true story. A bunch of Marines are going out on an exercise, a regiment, okay? And one of the units in that regiment is responsible for the amphibious vehicles. But they don't go through all their protocols before. And the vehicles are not worthy. They're not seaworthy. They're not safe to do the exercise in. But the commanding officer of that battalion says they're fine. They can do it. He doesn't do his due diligence, and he doesn't tell the regimental commander, and he doesn't tell the general. Okay. General, after all this happens, not only is that battalion commander fired for it because he was incompetent and didn't do his due diligence, the general, by rote, gets fired too. Okay? That's the example I'm using with Alec Baldwin. This is his movie. All right? His movie. And him, you don't know, he's gonna blame the armorer, this 24-year-old girl. Fine. But when those other people left the set because of misfires, because there was unsafe gun issues going on anyway, maybe you as the producer should have taken what they were saying seriously, and apparently he did not. Okay, that is going to come up big. Okay, IATSE's already blaming, I think it's either the local or they're blaming everybody, but and I don't blame them. Okay, it's again because it's ultimately Baldwin's responsibility, and he was the one who pulled the trigger. And again, what happens when you're handed a gun? You make sure what's going on with it. You open it up. You look at the rounds. Are they blanks? Why were there live rounds in it? Okay. Well, I don't know what vicariously responsible means. Vicariously means living through someone else's life. Okay. So I don't understand. He's responsible for what the armorer did because he didn't take, he knew she wasn't competent. He had to. He had to be aware that people were walking out and not happy. With what was going on. That's what, yeah, and you're right, there is going to be more damage. And that information came from the LA Times. Okay, every once in a while, the fake news media will come up with an actual news story. All right, here's what I think is going to happen. I think when they go through it, and the detectives are asking, okay, here's the deal. Did you follow safety procedures? And then they're asking you're right, Troy. And then they're talking to the witnesses. They're talking to the director who got shot in the shoulder. They're talking to other people. They're talking to the guys who walked out. Baldwin will give his statement. And I guarantee you he's going to lie and say, yeah, I checked the gun. It looks safe. And he already did. He said from what I read, he said he did check the gun. All right. And you can't tell a live round from a dummy round? They weren't even rolling cameras. So what's going to happen is there'll probably be charges of negligent homicide. And he's going to probably see charges and probably be civilly liable. Okay. Her husband's a lawyer. Latham and Watkins. Let me tell you something. Go look at their webpage. They have the entire effing globe covered. He's LA based. I had a glorious conspiracy theorist bring up the Durham investigation saying, oh, he's going to go to jail. What does this have to do with what Alec Baldwin did? That's like saying Jupiter has something to do with Mars. I mean, what are you talking about? This is, it's a huge law firm. Okay, so the idea that Watkins wouldn't think about suing Baldwin civilly for wrongful death is, first off, it's his wife. Second of all, he's a lawyer. Okay, and if they smell, money, they're gonna go after it. I mean, that's what they do. And then there's, of course, what the sheriff finds out. And just based on the information now we got about the walkout, before this all happened, and the misfires, the fact that it was an unsafe set tells me that, again, the responsible person, not only ultimately in charge of making sure the set was safe, but the one that pulled the trigger, Alec Baldwin, will probably be charged with negligent homicide. And no, he won't. It'll be negligent homicide. He you know, I don't, and to be honest, I don't think he's smart enough to know the difference between a blank and a round. Okay, I really, really don't. He is dumber than a box of rocks. Okay, guys. I mean, let's be honest. This guy is not. My dog is smarter than he is. My horse is smarter than he is. Okay, let's not, pull any punches here. So that's, kind of what I'm seeing right now. When I talked yesterday, and I already showed you guys in this video, if you go back and watch, every time you pull a gun out, every time you pop, if it's a semi-automatic, 1911, double action, or striker fire, you pop the mag and you open it up to make sure it's empty. Finger off the fucking trigger. And if he was handed, now I'm going to say this. Normally, when they're doing rehearsing, which is what the story is, or they're going through something and he has to have the weapon on him. You have the armorer right there. The armorer should take the weapon if the actor's not using it, in my opinion. Okay. So wherever she was doing her lipstick, I don't know. So I think she's probably going to be liable too. I don't know how. I don't have StreamYard. This is my phone. I got to set up a studio. I haven't done it. It's cost prohibitive. It's, I got it. There's a lot of stuff I need to do to be able to do that. You can't tell me, all right, that someone didn't say, what are you doing with all this going on? You can't tell me, oh yeah, I mean, I've said that. I mean, he knows. He has to know the difference between a blank, which has paper wadding in the front to keep the powder in. I have heard that he flipped it open because it's a completely different, contraption than my 938 and my 365. They're semi-automatic. One's a striker fire and the other's a 1911 base. This is a revolver. So you open it up, you look, you roll it. Good morning, Planet Musk. You roll it, and if he didn't, he said he did look at it. Okay. Again, I think he was probably lying. Okay, he either took somebody's word for it or didn't give a damn. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about the conspiracy theories I heard. Somebody posted on one of my videos that Latham and Watkins was getting indicted by that attorney Durham. Well, that word isn't the right word to use. And they're trying to make a connection between this mishap and that investigation. It was the Russia investigation. How do you connect that? Okay, I don't know. It's look, Alec Baldwin for his entire life has treated the people, yeah, it was a revolver. I mean, they're doing a Western. I don't really see a whole lot of, Sig Sauer Scorpion 1911s out in the middle of 1870s Arizona, okay, or New Mexico, okay. I don't see how you make a connection between the Durham investigation, which should have been over last year before the election, by the way. Those indictments should have come down then. And this is an Alec Baldwin. This is the culmination of the way he's treated cast and crew on every set he's ever worked on. Okay? All right. It's really interesting how you don't see any sympathy for him. Everyone's all upset about what happened to Helena. No one is saying a word about Alec. Okay? He, you know, yeah, they're not aging well. I mean, what he has said and done just to Dana Lash is unbelievable. Yeah, you do. I mean, that's, it's also like this. If I saddle, no, it was a pistol. It was a revolver. Revolver. When I saddle my horse, and let's say like I lunge her, she's ready to go. She knows where she is. I check the girth to make sure it's still tight. I check the stirrups. I check her bridle. I make sure that the bit is resting in her mouth behind where the bars are in her mouth. I go, why? Because I'm not gonna fall off of her because the saddle broke, or because I didn't have the girth on the right way. Okay. I also want to make sure she's comfortable so she doesn't try to buck me off. Because if she's not happy, no one's happy. Because if she's not, very sensitive animal. If she doesn't feel good about what's going on, if it hurts, she's going to let you know. Oh yeah, I believe that there should be drug tests on this. I'm hoping there was one. All right, bye. I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Be careful.
I will. I'm hoping that they ask for a pee test of everybody on the set. Okay. This is, really, really going to change everything, okay, about the way I think safety is, and I think it's going to help IATSE. I think it's going to help RIATSE or IATSE to basically get what they want. Yeah, you're right, and he is a bully, and he's a jackass. I mean, you ever watch the movie Working Girl? And he plays Melanie Griffith's creepy boyfriend. When I was watching, I was like, I hope there's a scene where Harrison Ford just punches him in the mouth and just drops him like like a sack of potatoes, just poof. Here's the deal again about guns. If you're handed a pistol, you yourself don't take I don't care if it's Dale Dye, or if it's Hickok 45, or some Marcus Luttrell. I'm gonna open that gun up. I'm gonna make sure it's empty myself, and I'm gonna look at the rounds before I put the mag in and shut it. Okay? And I'm gonna make sure it's on safety. And what's the last rule? What are the 2 rules after that? Keep your fucking finger off the fucking trigger. And don't point the goddamn thing at anything you don't want to shoot. Okay? There, I said it, I'm glad. Now, let's talk about something a little more fun. Anakin Skywalker is going to be in Ahsoka. And there is a certain YouTuber, big YouTuber, someone I just don't like at all, who is screaming he doesn't care because of Gina Carano. First off, the fact that Hayden Christensen is going to be there in that show is awesome. Okay. Second of all, I'm sick and tired of hearing about Gina Carano. She doesn't come back, no fucks given. Okay, I'm done. Why? A, Cara Dune is a secondary character. Third character. We've only had 2 seasons of her in like 4 she's been in like 4 episodes, 5 of Mandalorian. Star Wars does not revolve around her. It kind of does around Anakin Skywalker because that's what the story's about. See you, Misha. And I think the thing about it that makes me angry is that I don't think Alec is innocent at all. But because we're a country of laws and not men, a person is innocent until proven guilty. But I personally don't. Okay, so don't bring that BS here. All right? I want it to be fair. I want it to be done the right way. But because, and I don't want to talk about this anymore. Okay, so stop. All right? But he's not innocent. Not about this. Okay? If you're handed a gun, I mean, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just sitting there and he picked it up. I don't know. Okay? But I guarantee you there will be a negligent homicide trial and he will be charged. Right now, we don't know. Maybe he won't be. I don't know. But I'm looking at the evidence and I'm like, he's the boss. He's the fucking boss. What the fuck? Okay? There were already walkouts about what was going on with the guns. There were misfires. Now, the girl's dad was an armorer and probably a gunsmith and all the rest of that stuff, a professional. He should have been the armorer on the set, not her. Okay? There should be an apprentice period for people like this. You don't just take a 24-year-old and go, especially in this day and age. That's like taking a 16-year-old 40 years ago and giving them more responsibility than they should be allowed. Okay? I mean, but no. There were walkouts, protesting, safety issues with the guns, and other issues that, by the way, are issues that IATSE is protesting right now. And I don't, Mark B, and don't come on here. All right, and don't come on here and do that. Alec Baldwin is a piece of shit. Okay? All right? Imagine if this was Chris Pratt or Mel Gibson. All right? So, I want to go back to this. So we get this big YouTuber, Mark, this close. All right? And the weaponer is right. He should have verified the fucking... Mark B doesn't know anything about guns. Period. Full stop. I wouldn't let you near our gun range. Okay. Hey, Daz. And the reason why is because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay? You are unsafe. All right? Tomorrow, when I get up in the morning and we get ready to go, we're going to pack up whatever boom booms we want to shoot that day. And thanks, Troy. And we're going to go. We're going to go to our booth, a slot, indoor range. We're going to set it up. Mark, it's not that. It's that you're not listening to what people are saying. Go to the LA Times article, okay? And Alec Baldwin has a bad reputation amongst everybody in Hollywood, okay? So if you're here to defend that piece of shit, I'm sorry, okay? I actually feel bad about him in some ways, but after the crap that he's done to my friend Dana Lash, I'm like, really? Mr. Anti-Gun? Really? And as far as having an opinion, Mark, you don't know what you're talking about. There are people in the chat who obviously Weaponer knows what he's talking about. I do too, okay? Yep, you're right. Weaponer's right. All he had to do is say, all right, I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna check the piece before I fire it. Before we go through the scene again. It's got live rounds in it. Just a second. Click, 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 click. You know, because it's probably a revolver. They all come out, and he's looking at them. This is a live bullet. This is not a blank. And may I remind you, blanks do kill people. Let's go back and talk about John Eric Hexum. Okay? He was killed by a blank. All right? Screwing around with guns, the rules are they're always loaded even when you know they're not. Okay? Always. You never point it at anybody, even a fucking toy gun. You do not point that fucking thing at anybody. All right? I taught my nephew a bitter lesson on that. Because he was screwing around with the ones that weekly shoot out those red little things. And he was harassing me with it. And I was really getting pissed off. And he wouldn't stop. And I told him one more time, I'm going to break it. He did it one more time. I took it out of his hands and I broke it. Broke it in half and handed it back to him. And he lost his shit. Okay? Yeah, I mean, so Troy's right. All right, so you don't point a gun at anybody at anything you're not going to shoot. Okay? Second of all, you keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. All right, and that's after you've inspected the pistol. Okay? You've inspected the rounds, you inspected the mags, you inspected, what do they call what do they call the magazine for a revolver? I guess the cylinder. All right, we'll call it that. You know, if it's a 6-shooter, you check all 6. You roll it. And that's it. That's what you have to do. No, it's not a clip. A clip is not in a pistol. A clip is not a magazine. Okay? All right, cylinder. Yeah, clip. Never. If you ever watch someone shoot an M1 Garand or anything like that, they're gonna have a clip. All it is a piece of metal that you put the bullets in. They slide right in, and then you push it. You push the whole thing down into the action, into the magazine. All right, and then because the M1 Garand is a semi-automatic rifle. You shut it, okay? And that's ready to go. That's hot, okay? That is a clip. The magazine's in the rifle. A magazine for the 1911, for the M1 carbine, for you know any of those rifles. Yeah, the ping. So the ping. And I got my ping. I got my ping on video actually, shooting the M1 Garand. Frickin' thing is heavy as hell. I don't know how my uncles carried them. They're just, God, they weigh a ton. All those guns have magazines. The M4 carbine that is right now the rifle of the troops. They're going to I think a regular rifle now with the 6.5 Creedmoor now. Those are mags, and you know what a mag looks like. Okay, I want to talk about that. So I'm done talking about Alec. So we've got this bitching and moaning from the fandom menace, the usual suspects. And we're not gonna watch this because Gina, not Star Wars fans, if you're putting that much into Gina Carano, okay? You're not. And that is that's my statement. I am sick and tired, of hearing about her. Again, I defended her. And if what happened to her hadn't happened, a lot of shit would still be going on. Okay? All right? I defended her. I want to see her back. But the sun does not rise and set whether she is involved in Star Wars or not. So, if you are that big of a Gina Carano fan, I can't help you. You're not a Star Wars fan. And if you're putting her bullshit ahead of Alec Baldwin, ahead of Hayden Christensen, and who's playing the character that Star Wars really is about, fuck off. I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to hear it any fucking more. Then we have other people running around saying, if you like the Mandalorian, you aren't a Star Wars fan. I can't do it anymore. I can't. I mean, I really, I'll go back to Baldwin in a second. I can't do it anymore. I can't. All right. I don't understand these people. Part of it is narcissism. Part of it is trying to keep the brand alive. And part of it is, I don't know what, but it really is getting tiring to hear about Gina Carano constantly, to the point we can't have anything nice. Okay? I don't care anymore. I don't. The EU, all right, let me ask, put a 1 in the chat. If you think the EU was great, but not good, but should be used as a basis going forward with the new timeline. Okay? That's what I think. Okay? Because there's lots of parts of the EU that weren't that good. Okay, there really, really wasn't. And I can't, thanks for all the ones, guys. I can't do this anymore. And we've got people here, I know that. And here's the deal. Part of it is she, as far as I can tell, may or may not be still in touch with Drunk 3PO. He doesn't come up really and say much about her, but I haven't gone onto his chats or I don't even follow him anymore. And because I'm sick of it. I mean, look, I know what happens when a star gets involved in any sort of relationship with a fan. It doesn't work out, okay? And she's a smart enough gal to not tell him everything, okay? And as far as Disney is concerned, I don't look at them as being at fault anymore because they actually are bringing in a bunch of really good stuff. And this Ahsoka show is going to be great. The Obi-Wan show is going to be great. Andor looks to be pretty good. And the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, this is stuff the fans should want. But when you got some jackass on Twitter bitching that if you like the Mandalorian, you're not a fan, this just fuck you. Okay? Who the and then my favorite is then going back and saying, all I was saying was my opinion. Why are you being so mean? But then, you know, it's like, well, you just call the rest of us who want good Star Wars jackasses for liking it. And now you're the one who's the victim. You know, and another thing, and my favorite, is how some of these people actually think that George looked at the EU as being canon. The moment the EU struck from canon and these other books appeared, the books became non-canon, period. The only books that are canon are the books that go along with the movies. That's it. That's it. Okay. Heir to the Empire, if they're making it. No, you're not. Weaponer, when TFA came on, I got the flu really bad. And I did an episode 1 through 6. And I watched them all in chronological order. All right. And I was sitting there after Revenge of the Sith going, these are pretty good movies. These are better than I thought. And I was starting to form an opinion that the prequels were better than the sequels, and TFA had only been out. They're good stories. The acting isn't always that great, but Ian McDermott did a fine job. Hayden, did what George wanted him to. All right? And that's it. They're fine stories, and the sequel trilogy, all it did was make them look better. Okay, I mean, here's the deal: if Denis Villeneuve had done Star Wars, it would have been better. Okay, because obviously he respects the lore of Dune. Okay, if Christopher Nolan had directed the sequel trilogy, but Kathleen Kennedy couldn't deal with directors who want to actually make good movies. That's the bottom line. She's got these young soy boys or politicians like JJ, and there you go. People that Bob Iger, JJ Abrams is comfortable with, because he's going to tell them what he wants. He doesn't give a fuck about what the story's about. Not a clue about what Star Wars is about. And now he knows he fucked up. And I know he knows he should have listened to George. All right. He didn't. And guess what? We have this. All right. So anyway, but I just, Star Wars doesn't revolve around Gina Carano. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think so, Misha. Yeah, he did, Ravens. I think that that is true. She, you know, they could have easily found somebody else, and they still could find somebody else to take her place. You know, and I'm not talking about that freak Lucy Lawless. I mean, first off, she's too old. Yeah, mystery boxes and no answers. And then the answers he does give are about as satisfying as, you know, Barbie pulling down Ken's shorts and saying what's there or what isn't there. I mean, you know, actually, that's a pretty funny analogy. All right, yeah. So my inner Samantha Jones is coming out. You know, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, I mean, so yeah, we've got a problem, I think, in the fandom with people like this because, look, person who put that tweet out, and we all know who it is, liked The Last Jedi till he realized everybody else hated it, and they jumped on the bandwagon to grow his channel. Okay, I mean, you couldn't get more phony if you were if you couldn't be more phony if Pamela Anderson's fake boobs. I'm not kidding. Okay, that's how phony that is. All right, it has nothing to do with the lore. It has nothing to do with the respect to George Lucas and the respect to the actors that came in the original trilogy and the prequels. Nothing. It has everything to do building a brand, money, and YouTube cred. That's it. All right. I am sick of people like that. And the reason is this: the culture needs good, heroic storytelling. Period. All right. I don't expect someone who didn't graduate from high school to understand that. All right. But at least goddamn be honest enough to say, I'm not a Star Wars fan. I'm only here to, you know, earn cred and grow my channel. All right? That's it. You know, Bryce Dallas Howard grew up with George Lucas. She grew up with those guys around her. She understands what it's all about. Okay? You know, Jon Favreau, I think he's a little older than me, not much, but he grew up with Star Wars. Okay? He walked out of the theater going, I want to do that when I grow up. And now he is. All right? You need someone who loves it. And again, if you're a fan and you liked TLJ till you realized that everybody else fucking hated it, and you were looking around and you're looking at your, you know, your channel, which is smaller than mine, which was the same, about the same amount of members at the time as mine, and you're like, how did I grow my channel? You know, let me tell you something. Not a fan. Not a fan. Admit it. All right? People who can admit, yeah, I didn't like it that much. You know, I'm not a He-Man fan. But what they did to that show and how it hurt friends of mine pisses me off. Because it's the same shit everywhere. Okay. All right, I'm done. Done talking about that. Okay. Kathleen Kennedy. The hard deck. The 20th of October came and went. That was the last day they could get her contract signed or whatever. There was something about that date. The last day they could negotiate or whatever. Okay. That came and went. Next Saturday, a week from today, is the last day of her contract. Okay. And I'm waiting to hear from a friend, but he told me that there's something going on with her contract and that delaying Indiana Jones 5 is leading to people to believe it is not being renewed. Okay. They're still filming. All right, for anybody out there who wants to believe Harrison Ford is decrepit, he was diving for that movie. I mean, it was in a diving rig. They showed other things going on. They're still filming in Sicily. Okay, and I think the movie's gonna wrap pretty soon. It should have wrapped mid-month, but because for all we know, Harrison was the one that. Oh, I do too. Well, they can't really scrap Indy 5 altogether. I know Cameron thinks they can, but I don't. I think what they're going to do is probably do some reshoots to fix the story. I got to go because I got to change my clothes. I got to get ready for mass. The problem with Indy 5, there's all, I mean, the rumors go from, no, that's stupid too. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't believe the what the fuck you were talking about rumors. And the reason why is because not even Kennedy would be that dumb. Oh, she'd like to do it, but I think her husband would go, no. No. And as far as I'm concerned, on that set, he is God. Okay? He's the one, not her. I mean, he probably allowed her to cast Phoebe Waller-Bridge, but that's it. Okay? That's it. I mean, that is... Okay. Here's the deal. I think someone on the set, maybe it was Marshall, but I don't think so. Maybe it was Harrison Ford, which I could see. I could see him doing this. Alerted Bob Chapek. And, I mean, the rumors came out in the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is not a liberal rag. Well, it's a rag, but it's the conservative. Bye, Raven's Journey. Bye. The Daily Mail is a British conservative rag, which I don't know what that means. These rumors came out there. Cameron thinks that it was him, that it was Chapek himself who put them out there to see what the fans would do. Okay? And I tend to agree with them. And then we get, this IATSE thing, and, you've got Marvel being pushed back a couple of months, but Indiana Jones 5 being pushed back a year from its release date. There's something not coherent with that. There's something that doesn't work. And it's got to be Kennedy fucked something up, and it's got to be her. I don't think her husband would. I mean, he comes off as a very nice, quiet, mild-mannered, competent guy. And Ford wouldn't stand for the shit that the rumors were. I know he wouldn't, and I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Why do people assume Harrison Ford would put up with that? They don't even ask the people that are telling them this. Why would Harrison Ford put up with that? This is Indiana Jones. He loves this character. Why would he say, oh fine, that'll be great. We'll erase my character from the history and then we'll have Indiana Jones. I mean, why would he put up with that? He wouldn't. So maybe it was him that said, hey, Bob. They took a long break. They went on a vacation for a good 3 weeks, even longer. And this was after he got hurt and couldn't film. So I'm going to say something doesn't sit right. And I think the shit was going down back in June and July. All right? I think it was going down back then. I mean, basic, it'll all come out in the wash. But I do think the shit was going down back then. But anyway, I gotta go because I gotta change. And I will see you guys around the galaxy. Behave, have a good time. Somebody gets mad about me, going after EU fanatics or, like not giving a damn about Gina Carano anymore. It I don't really care about her, and I don't really care about what the Brits are calling it. That's really insulting to me. You know, Brits have a different kind of way of looking at things, and sometimes I find it very mean spirited. And I mean, not Southern, bless your heart, mean spirited. Okay? And it makes me very glad that 1776 happened. It really, really does. I love them, but there are times when it's like, you need to stop it, okay? Because you're really not that cool, okay? There's a reason why you guys don't run this country. And everybody in this country goes, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin and John Adams and George Washington. Honestly, could you imagine? No. No. I mean, I love Elizabeth II. I think she's a great woman. But when you watch the show The Crown and the way they treat one of their greatest prime ministers, Margaret Thatcher, is unfucking believably wrong. Okay? I mean, hey, it's you guys who put yourselves in debt. It's you guys that did this. She's trying to clean it up. What the hell is your problem? Okay? You guys that gave up your empire. Stop pretending like you still have one. Anyway, Johnny Rotten was right. Oh yeah, they did rag on the Star Wars production. And anyway, he was right, and he's been right. Just listen to him about the state of those issues, okay? Anyway, I gotta go because I gotta get changed, and the dog is being a dick right now. So you guys behave, and if you're upset about the way I talked about the EU and the fact that I think they can use it as basis to create a new timeline and keep the spirit of it alive, I don't really need you around, and don't come and comment, okay? If you're such a Gina Carano fan that you want to see George Lucas's legacy set on fire, fuck off. And hopefully Bob Chapek really is wiping his ass with Kennedy's contract. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you guys around the galaxy.